Hey everyone, this is Oz from the Casual Duels channel, and I'm here today to bring you my personal favorite deck, and deck I enjoy playing probably the most, and that is Dustons. Dustons are a small archetype that aren't super good. They're based on level 1s with 0 attack and 1000 defense, and they swarm the field, and they have a really good OTK potential that I didn't create. But obviously, because there's other people who play Dustons, and they usually play it in the OTK way because it's really hard to win without that. But I thought I would show off my deck because it's taken me a while to build it, and I've taken a lot of ideas from other people's deck profiles on YouTube, as well as adding some cards of my own that I haven't really seen, or I've only seen like once or twice on decks. So I thought that it'd be cool and a good idea to show off my deck to potentially help other Dustin players, as well as create some new Dustin players. So let's get started. So to start off, the deck is pretty much the needed floater, and it is House Dustin. So it's usually a good idea to run 3 of these. I don't think I've ever seen any variant that doesn't run 3 of these. You kind of need to. And what House Dustin basically does is, while it's face up on the field, if it's destroyed by your opponent's card effect or by their by attack, and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon as many Dustins on both players' side of the field, but it has to be an equal number. So what that basically means is that if your opponent has, if he's the only monster on your side of the field, and your opponent only has one monster on their side of the field, and they attack into it and destroy it, you could special summon 4 Dustins on each side of the field. If they have 2, then you can only special 3 max, because they can only have 3 on their side, and so on and so forth. So if your opponent knows what they're playing, that's usually a good tactic. That's what my friends usually do, is they swarm the side of the field before I can get House Dustin's effect off. And it's a good counteract. Then you run the colors, and I personally run 2 white Dustin, 2 yellow Dustin, 2 green Dustin, 2 red Dustin, and 2 blue Dustin. They're kind of all needed, at least for this, how to play them. But I have seen a lot of people run no white Dustins, and some people run 3 white Dustins, and some people just run like 1. So there's a big variety. But I think white Dustin at 2 is a good number, because he's the only normal Dustin, and so he has no bad effect and can be used for anything. Because the thing with Dustins are, these cannot be used for Exe, summoning, synchros, fusion, tributing, anything like that. The only way they can get off the field is by being destroyed by a card effect or by battle. And they all have that same effect. The only difference is each one has a slight different effect of when they're destroyed. Green, he has to return, whoever has this on their side of the field when it's destroyed has to select 1 spell or trap on their side of the field and return to their hand. Blue banishes 1 card from your hand until the end phase of the turn that's destroyed. Yellow returns a card from your graveyard to your deck. He's actually not terrible, but he can be Execute or Fusion or anything, so that's why you don't want him on your side of the field. But he's usually the last one you want to give them. If you can only send like 3 Dustins in your opponent's side of the field, you want to give these 3, because they have the worst consequences, I think. And red is definitely the best one, and he just gives your opponent 500 burn. And as you can see, they all have 0 attack and 1000 defense. That's a common theme with Dustins. So yeah, what I like to do is, House Dustin can search itself because it is a Dustin card. So when he is destroyed, I usually summon 2 House Dustons, maybe. It depends on the situation. And then 2 White Dustons. So you have a field of 4, if you can summon 4 at least. And you can use these for turn beating, XZ, Fusion, anything, because they're just normal cards. They have no backlash. So with that, most people don't take advantage of that, but I decided to, so that's why I actually run an extra deck, which I'll be showing you shortly. So yeah, these are the Dustons. That's the basic archetype. Now we're going to go on to how to make an OTK potential, or have one. And that's by running 3 Goblin Kings. Goblin King, while he's on the side of the field, or on the field, he gains 1,000 attack and defense for each fiend on the field in general, both sides of the field, except for himself. So what people like to do is, if your opponent attacks in House Dustin and have 1 monster inside the field, you get 2 House Dustins and 2 White Dustins on your side. Then you give your opponent 1 of each color. Oh, because I forgot to mention, you can't have more than 1 color on your on your side of the field or either side of the field. If so, then they both get destroyed. So you have to give them 1 of each color. So that kind of stops people from just giving your opponent like 3 reds, because that'd be crazy. But so with Goblin King, you special summon your Dustins in defense position, just because, you know, it's a good idea. And then you give them an attack position. And then when it comes to your turn, after they attacked in the House Dustin, you just normal summon Goblin King, and he's an immediate 8,000 attack, 8,000 defense. And their Dustins are in attack position. Obviously, if someone knows what you're playing, they might not let you get off with swarming their whole side of the field. But even so, it's really easy to get into like 6k. It isn't really hard at all, because, you know, they're not going to... Most decks won't be able to swarm their side of the field, unless it's like Pendulums, I guess. And then you can always attack into Red Dustin, because, you know, that's an immediate 500 more attack. Or, not attack, 500 more damage. So yeah, that's usually the way to usually win with Dustins. And he also can be attacked where there's another fiend on the field, like you have to attack other fiends beside him. So that kind of protects him. It makes your opponent have to pick off your other Dustins. So yeah. So next, you go to the floater of the deck, the actual floater to get your House Dustin or your Goblin King off, and that is Sticking Security. Sticking Security is pretty simple. Just a 1-star fiend, 100 attack, 600 defense, and when it's from a battle and since the graveyard, you can special summon 1 level fiend type monster from your deck. And guess what? House Dustin and Goblin King both work as this. So if you have one or the other, you can easily get both out, because you usually, you want both. Because if you just have House Dustin, then you're basically just stalling for a bit. You're stalling your opponent being out winning. And also they have a chance to put their Dustins in defense position, so it kind of stops you from hurting them. So Sticking Security can help with that. A good strategy I like to use is, if I have, like, I don't have anything, sometimes I have a bad hand, and I have security, I can play them, and my opponent has a face-up attack position monster, I'll attack, take the damage, he gets into the graveyard, switch summon House Dustin, attack with House Dustin, he gets into the graveyard, activate his effect. So that's usually the way to do it. But there's a lot of cool ideas. I also run a creature swap, and his effect will go off if you creature swap and then attack into him. So I think that's really good. Next we run a card that works really well with this deck, I think, and that is 3 Battle Fader. You're not running really big hitters, and you're gonna have to take a lot of damage usually with House Dustin, unless you get really lucky and they attack and always face up defense, which is rarely gonna happen. So you're gonna take some damage. So a good way to stop from direct damage is Battle Fader, and Battle Fader is also a level 1 fiend, so he helps Goblin King out, and also he's a level 1, so it helps with some of the level 1 support that I run, which I'll talk about in a second. So yeah, overall he's a good card. Now I'll show you one of that I run that I think's I'm still trying to figure out is Ghost Trick Jack Frost. When your opponent declares a direct attack, you can change that attacking position monster into face down defense, and then summon him in face down defense. And he's also a level 1 fiend, so that works out pretty well. Also, he doesn't target, so that's a really good. So you basically target, but not target a monster, like Dark Destroyer or something like that. So send it face down, and then have him face down. And the next turn, flip him up, and then get your level 1 searchers off and whatnot that I'll talk about here shortly. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. Another one I've run is King Caballo. I'm thinking about putting him up to 2. Not 100% sure yet. He's pretty good. Usually when you draw him, unless it's like opening hand, he's not dead. He also lets you go into XZs, because I do run rank 1s. So yeah, overall good card. He returns a level 1 card from your graveyard to your side of the field, but he's a spirit, so when you get sent back to your hand, that card is banished. He's also actually a good target for a creature swap, because you can normal summon him, creature swap your opponent's card, and then you don't even have to attack into him, and then at the end phase, he gets them back to your hand, and so your opponent just doesn't have any monsters on the side field, and you have their monster, so it's pretty good. Now, the last monsters I run, still playing around with some of the numbers, but I run 2 Darkness Neospheres, Dark Necrofear, and BLS. These are the boss monsters. Your second winning condition, basically. So Darkness Neosphere I really do like. I'm not sure if I want her at 2 yet or not. Still playing around with that. But if your opponent, how you summon it is it has to be special summoned by its own effect. And when your opponent attacks while you have a face-up fiend on your side of the field, you can discard a fiend from your hand and send that fiend on your side of the field to the graveyard and special summon this card from your hand. And it can be destroyed by battle. And also, I think once per turn you can send all face-up traps you control to the hand, but I don't use that effect. She's just a really good beat stick and can be destroyed by battle, so even if your opponent gets over 4,000, it's still a wall. Run BLS because it's a chaos build. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I run a lot of lights and darks. Necrofear, just good in any kind of fiend deck. I'm running basically a pure fiend deck. So you can just banish 3 fiends from your graveyard, special summon her, and when she's destroyed by your opponent, either by card effect or by battle, you can select one of their monsters, attach it to this card, and or attach this card to it, and you can take control of it while this card is attached to it. So pretty good. I remember playing while I was still net decking this. I played some guy and he got really upset. He got like the horse like dragging out like the highest level, and I attacked into a dark Necrofear and then took control of his horse, and he got really upset. Yeah, so that's all the monsters I run. Now on to spells. Try to go about this real quick. 2 Dark Holes. Regeki would be good too in this, but I just don't run Regeki. Also, it's expensive. But it's a good board wipe. It also works with some XEs because some of the XEs I run can't be destroyed by card effects, so you can Dark Hole and then your XEs are still there. But it's good if your opponent it's a good early game if your opponent just swarms the board. You can Dark Hole it and then restart with House Dustin or whatever. House Dustin will not get that effect though because it's your card effect. So just know that. House Dustin has to be destroyed by your opponent's card effect or by a battle. Well, it's on your side of the field too. If you creature swap House Dustin, you don't get the effect. So that's just something to know. Now the 2 level 1 support searchers that I was talking about were offed out. I might bump this up to 3. Especially because I made some changes. But basically, if you have a level 1 on your side of the field, you can search out another level 1 from your deck and add it to your hand. And if you don't normal summon a card with that name from your hand by the end of the turn, then you take 2,000 damage. So, if you're really losing, then you might end up having to take that because you might have to normal summon a level 1 and then use this. And it has to be normal summon too, so you can't special summon it and get off the thing. So it's kind of tricky, but with Battle Fader it works really well because you just Battle Fader and then next turn Wear Off Thou, and then get House Duston and the Goblin King out, whichever you need. So it's pretty good. And two MSTs because back row can hurt Goblin King a lot because he's very vulnerable to that. So yeah. I don't know, I think it'd probably work better than Twin Twister, but you can try it. I just don't have any Twin Twisters. And the 1-ofs are on creature swap because you're playing low levels. I run 1-for-1 because you're playing a deck of 1s, so it's another way to get House Dustin and Goblin King off. And yeah, if you get this in House Dustin or Goblin King in your opening hand, you're set. And then he'll run a new card, not a new card, but a new card to this deck because I have a certain ban list being released, and that is Insta-Fusion because Thousand Eyes Restrict is a level 1, and it's awesome, and it's my favorite fusion, so yeah. That's also another, you can Insta-Fusion and then Wear Off Thou, and then, so yeah, that's pretty good. The trap's pretty short, 3 roll degrees, because Mirror Force or any kind of trap, D-Prison, or whatever, can really hurt Goblin King, so you kind of need this. So yeah, that's the main deck. Go over the extra deck really quick. So yeah, Thousand Eyes Restrict, such a pretty card. Insta-Fusion it out, take one of their monsters, then you can overlay with it. So great. The 1 fusion. The 2 rank ones that I usually win by are 13 to 31. They have to both be on the subfield for basically their good effects to get off. So that's why I run House Dustin and White Dustin, because you can overlay with them. And basically, their effects that they get without each other is that once per turn you can detach a material to make all your opponent's monsters face-up attack, and they must attack this turn if able. So if it's on your opponent's side of the turn, then they have to attack. If it's your side of the turn, you basically just get their monsters in attack position. This is how I combated the slowness, because if I summoned a Dust on the side of the field and they had a turn to just put it in defense, I had no way to get that back into attack. So Goblin King couldn't do damage. So what I came up with was using these two, because I've only seen one other deck profile, and it was just fairly recent, use these cards. And but they're also fiends, so Goblin King does get boost. You're going to go down 2,000 because you're overlaying for 4 cards, but you're still going to have some good attack. So basically this will get my opponent's cards into attack position. And also, while the other one's on the side of the field, they can't make sure of a battle just about battle. No, battle or card effects while they have an XE material. And while they're both on the side of the field, your opponent takes any battle damage that you would have from attacks on this card. A good thing to know is if you attack with this card, that doesn't happen, so you do take damage. So they have to attack into this. But the thing is, they can make your opponent attack into them. I have one by using that, but I mainly just use it because I get them both on the field with Goblin King, and then I take off a material, let's say Thousand Eyes, and they have to go in an attack position, and then I just attack for a lot of points. So yeah, that's usually how I win. Now I pretty much just run every rank 1 because I can. So Lionheart, he's really good. He's worse than these, but he's alright. He's 3 level 1s. He's really prone to being destroyed by card effects, though, so that's not really great. Slack Magician's great for stalling. Ghost Trick Dollhand's good for getting over things if you need to. He's also a fiend, so he's not half bad in this deck. Then I do run Utopia Roots, just negates attacks, and then I run Utopia Ray because you can't overlay with Roots to Ray, so it's a 2,500 beater. And if you have if you have 1,000 or less life points, you can detach a material to make this card have 500 more attack, and one of your opponent's monsters have 1,000 less attack. So you can do some good damage, I guess. Have yet to get that off, but still. And then some rank 1s that I don't ever really play, but I just run them because rank 1s. Gold Rat, he's a draw power. Galaxy Queen, I think lets your monsters do piercing. Baby Tarragon. One of your level 1 monsters can attack directly. Shamelody Soldier lets you gain life points or draw. And then we have the Star Bear, stops your monsters from being destroyed by card effects. Your level 4 lower monsters. So I mean, theoretically you can use them, but this is a pretty fast win deck. You have to get it off quickly, so you don't have time. If you're going to late game with this, you're usually going to win. That's why I do have BLS and whatnot to kind of counteract that. The extra deck really quickly, I run the third wear off though, just in case, because I'm still playing with that. Second Dark Necrophere, because it's a really good card too. Third White Duston, just in case I decide to change my mind. 3 Silent Wobbies, because you can special summon this on your opponent's side of the field, and you immediately have a target for to attack. For White Dustin, if your opponent knows what you're playing, they might just play defensively. The only bad thing is your opponent gets to draw a card, but you gain 2,000 life points when you do this. Also, it's a level 4, so they can most likely rank 4 with it. So not the best, but you know. There are 2 Star Dustins. This is one Dustin I actually took out of this main deck. So what Star Dustin does is you can send as many Dustins from your side of the field as you want, and this gains the attack of that number times 1,000. So you can eventually become 5k attack and defense. And while he's on the side of the field, your opponent can't flip or special summon and activate any set spells or traps on the field. But if you control more monsters than they do, then it's destroyed. So yeah. I used to run it in the main deck to combat having to give myself a bad Dustin. I just send 1 bad Dustin, and then this is like a floodgate, and you can also overlay with it. So that's pretty good. Run 0 Zarok, just stops your opponent from being able to attack, face up attack position, 0 attack monsters. I don't think I'm actually going to use it. I'll probably take it out when I'm actually, like, this is not a real side deck. This is just ideas. Well, if I go to a local or something, I'll probably change it. I run 2 Mechlor Imperial Whistler. I saw someone else use this and I thought it was cool. It can only special summon by its own effect, and it's one of your monsters, one or more of your monsters, I think. No, when a face-up monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, including, by your own card effects, and sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Other monsters you control can declare an attack. Once per turn, you can target one single monster your opponent controls and equip that target to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to this card, but by its effect. And once per turn, during the player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell card, you can negate the activation and destroy it. It's a really good card, actually. But it's better for like synchro matchups, so I just side deck it. And then finally I run 1 Puppet Magic of the Dark Ruler. You basically can target 1 Fiend in your graveyard and send from your side of the field an equal number of level monsters that equal that monster. AKA I have a level 1 in the graveyard, I just send 1 level 1 from my side of the field, and I can special summon it. So it's okay, but I don't think I'm actually going to use it. Mystic Box, because it's kind of like Creature Swap, only you don't have to take the monster, so that's sometimes actually good. Then finally, a Guiding Light. It's basically a Kinkabayo, but for light monsters. And it's not Spirit. It isn't Banish, obviously. But honestly, I would probably just rather run a second Kinkabayo, because it'd be better. So yeah, this is my Dustin deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and please subscribe, like, and comment, and I will be back with another video hopefully soon.